It has now been more than 3 years, but the trial for the man who shot and killed 10 people at a King Soopers in Boulder is finally set to begin. Jury selection now in process for the trial of Ahmad Alissa, who's pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. That trial, though, has been delayed multiple times due to questions over his competency to stand trial. So joining us now, our legal expert, Whitney Traylor. We were just having this discussion. I think people hear these terms and maybe forget how they play in.
Yeah.
Competency is a measure of whether or not you can stand trial. Insanity is whether you knew what you were doing when you did it.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah, generally speaking, yeah. Competency is, can you proceed to trial and assist in the defense of your case? And so that means, can you understand the information? Can you understand the charges? Can you process and help in your defense? Do you understand the penalties? So that was one issue, and that's why it actually took so long, because there were all these hearings and he wasn't deemed competent to proceed to trial. The insanity is related to his actions on the day of the shooting and whether he understood the difference between right and wrong.
And that's his defense team has said he did it.
Right,
Yeah.
they've acknowledged he did it, but they're saying that he isn't competent, that he wasn't safe. And that always runs into, I mean, we've seen cases like this before.
Yes.
The Aurora Theater case, the Planned Parenthood shooting.
Right.
Then what, from a lawyer's point of view, they're trying to establish that with the jury that they did not know what was going on. But in so many cases, these were well planned out.
Right, and that's what the prosecution will argue. The prosecution will say, he was looking up information, he was looking up how fast you can shoot, these kind of things. But the defense will, and they'll bring in other things. Did he obey the traffic lights at the day? Did he talk, what conversations did he have with people? And were those, normal? And those
Did they go to work the day before? Did they see people?
Right, that's exactly right. And the defense is going to argue, well, look at his actions afterwards. He stripped down to his underwear. One of the first things he said when the police approached him was, I want to go home and call my mom, and those kind of things. So that will be a major part of the trial, is that sanity issue.
What's happening now is the jury selection.
Yeah.
And obviously the defense in these cases generally wants to change a venue. They don't think you can get a fair trial when you had this giant impact on a community. Is that something that we often see, these cases needing to be moved? Or, I mean, this is a giant jury pool that some people say is still too small.
Yeah, it is actually relatively small for these actions. And yeah, it's not unusual for someone, particularly the defense, to want to move it to a different venue. But the issue is, everybody in Colorado, I mean, everybody knows about this case, but the question is, can the jurors set aside any biases? Can they go in and be unbiased and listen to the evidence as it's presented? And that's going to be a real challenge.
And while the defendant has a right to get a fair trial and a fair jury, all of the jurors and all of the witnesses and everyone else who has to work on the case also has the right to have this case tried in the area where it happened.
Yes, but it's really, I think it's more so about the defendant getting a fair trial. Right. It's not, I mean, of course, these victims, the heart goes out to the families, and this is all the delays, and them being able to see some justice and get some closure is certainly important. But here it's, this is sort of related to our Bill of Rights and, the 4th, 5th, 6th, 14th Amendments, which are all designed to make sure that we do have a fair system and a defendant, we have the notion of innocent until proven guilty, that they do get a proper fair trial. And so systemically that all makes sense, but on an individual basis, I know for the families, for Coloradans, this is probably really difficult
over 3.5
to understand.
years.
Right.
Yeah. That's a long time. But then you also realize if something's rushed, there's going to be appeals.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of other things.
Yes, and part of that was the competency issue, because there were a number of evaluators who said he wasn't competent to proceed to trial, and the judge issued an order to forcibly medicate him, so he's taking antipsychotic medications, which he was doing in the Mental Health Institute in Pueblo. But since they brought him up, or when they bring him up to jail, they can't forcibly medicate him. So that's actually going to be an issue, because obviously the jury, one of the benefits of a jury system is you get to watch the defendant, you get to watch the witnesses. So here, what effect the not being on those antipsychotic medications may have, even for a few days, that could be interesting. I don't know what his behavior will be like and how that might impact the jury.
Well, it is in process, and it'll be, for many, a painful process to revisit that day. But we always continue to follow the case, of course, and continue to learn more about how this process works. Whitney Traylor, thanks as always.
For sure.